All right, we're going to look at this example of the difference of rational expressions. So we have up here x over 7x squared minus 6x minus 16, and then we're subtracting from that 7x over 7x squared minus 15x plus 2. Now, as always with rational expressions or fractions at all, we need to have the same denominator. And so what you always want to do is factor each denominator, and then we're going to see if there's any factors in common, if some are missing a factor or whatnot. So if we factor out this denominator first, now, I'm not exactly sure how your tutorial shows it, but this is how I like to factor a trinomial. I always find the factor pairs of the first and the last term. So that means things that multiply to 7. So we have 7 and 1, and that's it. You're not going to do any negatives for this first number here. But over here, even if it is negative, then 1 will be negative, 1 positive. But if it's positive, we're just going to put the positive factors here, which will be a little bit different as this one. So for negative 16, our factor pairs are negative 16 and positive 1, negative 1 and positive 16. We can do negative 8, positive 2, negative 2, positive 8, negative 4, and 4, and that will be it. So now we have to figure out, okay, 7 times something plus 1 times the other thing has to add to be negative 6. And so in this case, if we multiply 7 and negative 2, we get negative 14. And if we multiply 1 by 8, we get positive 8. And now remember, you always have to just choose one pair. You can't choose a negative 2 from here and a 1 from over here. They're going to be the same pair. So if we combine these, we get negative 6, which is our middle number. So that's what we want. Now I circled the pairs, this pair, and then I boxed that pair so I knew how they went together. And so if I'm going to write this in factor form, we have to separate the partners. And so I'm going to put 7x here and 1x here. Now because 7 and negative 2 were partners, they're going to go in opposite parentheses. 7's over here, negative 2 is over here. So 1 and 8 are partners, and that's positive 8. So we'll have the 1 in this parentheses and the 8 over here. So I just factored this guy. Alright, so that now, let's just write it as a factored denominator. We get 7x plus 8 and 1x minus 2. Alright, so let's do the same thing over here. 7x squared minus 15x plus 2, and this is what I explained in the email. So we're going to factor 7 to be 7 and 1. Positive 2 is 2 and 1, but we can see that's not going to end up giving us a negative number. So instead we're going to have negative 2 and negative 1, because together these two negatives create a positive 2. So now if I multiply 7 times negative 2, I get negative 14. And then if I do 1 times negative 1, I get negative 1. If I combine those, I get negative 15, which is what we want right here. So now, once again, I paired them up so that when I put them in parentheses, it's a little easier. So we're always going to have the 7x and the 1x here. And 7 and negative 2 were partners, so they're going to go in opposite parentheses. 1 and negative 1 were partners, so those go in opposite parentheses. And so now, that is what we have here. 7x minus 1. And 1x minus 2. Of course, you don't need the 1 in front of here or in front of here. Okay, so now we're getting closer because both of them have this factor, but both of them need, so this denominator over here needs 7x plus 8. This denominator over here needs 7x minus 1. And so what we're going to do then is we have to multiply by what we don't have. And so I'm going to make this a little simpler. So like I said, over here is missing the 7x minus 1, so that's what we're going to have to multiply the top and the bottom by. And so we have 7x plus 8, and then I'm just going to do the x minus 2. Minus 7x. Now what over here is missing is the 7x plus 8. So that's what we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by. Over here. This one. X minus 2. Alright. Okay, so now we're just going to multiply the top. We're going to leave the denominator as factored form, which hopefully will be fine in your tutorial as what they did. So if I multiply 7x minus 1 times x, I get 7x squared minus x. And then over here, I get 49x squared. And we're going to leave this negative out in front right now. We're not going to do anything with it. So we get 49x squared plus 56x. It's going to be over the same denominator, so I'm not going to write them right now. And so what we're going to do now is the negative sign is going to distribute to both of these terms. And so what we're really doing is 7x squared minus x. And then we're going to distribute the negative to be negative 49x squared minus 56x with the same denominator, so I'm not going to write it. And then we combine these to get negative 42x squared minus 57x. And now we can go ahead and write our denominator, which if it's still in factored form, we get 7x minus 1, 7x plus 8, and the x minus 2. If they want you to simplify this, you can, but hopefully they won't make you do that. So hopefully this was helpful, and please ask me more questions if you need.